9.8, and I was like, oh, hopefully it doesn't go into the no area.
Very much hyperventilating.
But I think I know what's going to happen there. I think it's going to be like the thing in Florida with that felon voting. They're going to kind of do a 50%. Like they're going to put it.
They're going to like really half-ass
it. Well. Yeah,
like,
they're not going to do it well. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. So Jen
because the Republicans
Richards
didn't want to do it. That's why it's a ballot thing, because they didn't want to do it. So the people signed to get it onto the ballot.
I mean, which is really just kind of disappointing. Just like to see. Some like people clearly want something, and then just see it ignored, which is it's kind of disappointing. But Jen Richardson is someone who I do want to bring attention to. I've just made aware that she has right now at least an 8-point lead over the DCCC backed John Holdley with a 54-46 lead. She's only had 8K on hand for the race, which is just a ridiculously small amount of money over a DCCC backed candidate, which is it is very insane. But if she's able to hold that lead, I'm on her page right now, and I have no idea. This is a guy who I believe was so all right, almost losing in 2018. This district is represented for Upton. Okay, so this Michigan 6th district was actually the one that I believe Joe Biden spoke on behalf of Fred Upton, the Republican there, for $200,000 at a fundraising event, and he won. So by only a little bit in a race that they could have easily flipped, which I think it was insane that was not a bigger scandal in the primary. But it does seem, and it really is impossible to tell from her policy positions here, but Jen Richardson, with just 8K on hand here, has seemed to take the lead here in the Michigan 6th district. What do you think about the influence of the DCCC? Yeah, she's 67%, 54-56, Richardson over Hoadley here. What do you think the power with that the Democrats have in these races, the DCCC? Do you think that power is kind of on the decline, or?
I think in some races it is, but I think that in many others, I don't think it really is too much. I think the problem with the DCCC is that they don't really put a lot of effort into getting a lot of people onto the ground and campaign. They just give a lot of money to the candidates to run. But now Hoadley,
it has to be. I really think it has to be those two sides there. You got to do
Hoadley,
both.
You said he was getting DCC
Hoadley,
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hoadley, because he's not in the comments, so I was just a little shocked about that. But, so he's in the House himself. Well, actually, here I'm looking at it. The difference in the votes, though, is quite tight. It's only at less than 2,000 votes, actually.
I don't know if it's a very big district, but.
Well, I think that it's 67%, so definitely could. It definitely could. I mean, she started with an advantage anyway. I do remember seeing her. I don't remember what it was at, so she's definitely held on to it. It seems like, but. I think it actually did get a little narrow, though, because when it first came out, she had like an 80% lead, but that was like when only 1% was reporting. And that was probably like some of the early voter people in Michigan, because in Michigan does a kind of interesting with the early voting. You can early vote, but then it gets counted by like the same machines that count the people who go in to vote the same day. So it's almost like actually similar to Florida, they do that as well. That's why Gillum had an amazing out the door start in his primary in 2018. They didn't support him, but I'm just saying like that's part of the reason why early voting, how those two states do it, really is quite influential and kind of getting the horse out of the gates. And she's held on to it so far, but she definitely is losing some ground. But I think that's definitely another race we should be watching besides the two other ones. Well, one in Missouri and the other one in Michigan. Just saw something pop up here. What is this? Oh, okay. St. Charles County, the ex-urbs of St. Louis and a GOP stronghold voted 51 to 49% to expand Medicaid, encouraging for Democrats who are trying to flip a House seat that includes part of the county.
Okay, so they have been able to. Okay, so they have. Did they just try and flip? Did they just accept? Were they just successfully able to do that there? Or?
No, they are at 75% reporting. 2% difference, 51-49.
Oh, so just get a little bit closer. Okay.
This is going to be a nail-biter finish tonight.
Yeah, so
actually, I got to search up for Missouri because I hope that they don't do it like by the 70% rule. because that's what a lot of states do. Like they won't do a ballot proposal unless it has 70% or more of the population.
Supporting it, yeah. Okay,
I
so it
hope
looks
they
like
don't do that.
yeah, the latest I'm able to find on this Kim Gardner race is 60-40. But yeah, I also do want to check on some of the other major prosecutorial races tonight and kind of get a sense of how this is coming across the country. Because I do believe it is very, very important to follow because these races, I think they do have a lot of impact, especially when it comes to criminal justice, which is becoming, as we know, a bigger and bigger issue by the day in this country. So yeah, I do want to keep a close eye on that as we look to some of the other results from across the way things are going here. So, yeah, all right. The Talib Jones race hasn't moved. See anything about just go right back to here to the William Lacey Clay.
Oh, okay, that's better. 50% reporting now.
Ooh, it's very close, 48.9 to 44.8. Wow, so that is going to be a squeaker.
Yeah.
But according to Nicholas Fandos of the New York Times, he just said this. It is going to be a squeaker, but the result in St. Charles County suggests that Medicaid expansion is on track to pass tonight in Missouri, a solidly red state these days. So yeah, I really do think this portends pretty well in terms of more people, especially in red states, saying, at least mildly, I want more government-run healthcare. Like it is very interesting. So. I think this portends well for Medicare for All. Do you think progressives could translate this to success on that front?
Well, this is like a public option, though, arguably, because Medicaid expansion, all it really does is it allows you to have the choice. If you don't have health insurance, you can go into it. I think Medicare for All definitely isn't a bad thing to go in the future. But I think first,
I just thought it was giving more people access to Medicaid.
Well, but if you don't have private insurance in states that don't have, like, for example, if I lived in Florida, for example, because they don't have, actually, they don't even really have a Medicaid. They supposedly do, but they really don't because Rick Scott cut 900,000 people off of it. But if I was in Florida and I didn't have health insurance, I would have to try to basically put my name into a lottery system to be able to qualify for Medicaid. Now, with Medicaid expansion, for example, in Maine and even New York where we have it, but New York's a little different than what Maine has. Maine is more of kind of like the new style Medicaid expansion where it's more like a Medicaid expansion. Like, because New York went a little bit farther than a Medicaid expansion. Like, we actually give people very good subsidized health insurance in the state. But going back to what I was saying about Maine, all Medicaid expansion really does is it gives you the option that if you don't have insurance, you can go on to Medicaid. Like if you have insurance, you have to qualify for Medicaid. But if you already have insurance, your income is most likely going to not qualify you for going on to the Medicaid that the state will offer you. So in other words, it kind of is like a public option, but at the same time, there are still restrictions to it.
Yeah, I do think, though, it's pretty really easy to say that I think it's like that is a policy position and policy proposal that's going to impact, I think, many lives in an incredibly positive way. So hopefully we see that pass, and hopefully it's actually done relatively effectively. So let's see what else we have to go. Is there? Yeah, Rashid Tlaib. I mean, each time
less than 1% still.
Each time I know, but each time I go on Twitter, I just see more and more people just be like, "Yeah, she won the primary." But it kind of reminds me of
it didn't happen yet.
It does kind of remind me of like what we've seen with like Elliot Engel and Bowman and just kind of calling it early, which did turn out to be right. I feel pretty comfortable in saying that Tlaib has won the primary, but I guess we will have to wait and see for some full results. She said she's confident. And she did note some surprise today in talking to reporters, saying that she was like she was apparently pretty surprised that she was delayed. So Ryan Grimm writes, your favorite, Cory Bush's campaign was kind of a test case of whether an insurgent can compete with broad institutional support from the left infrastructure. Despite her role as a lead Ferguson organizer, nearly all national progressive groups shied away from her race. Justice Dems threw down, so did an outside group fight corporate monopolies, but basically no one else. The race is not over, to be clear, as Election Day votes still need to be counted. And now she is within 5K votes and closing fast and feels confident about how election day went. And now 3,500. I do believe Sunrise the Sunrise movement did support Clay as well. Or sorry, not Clay, Cory Bush. Let's see,
yeah. I don't really like that group. I find them very they have a very strange mentality. They gave Kamala Harris a B minus
and Biden an
for her
F.
climate. Yeah, but Biden's plan was more bold than Kamala's plan. Her plan was not even really going to be honest. I mean, the only thing her plan outlined was how to make the grid cleaner and then rapid transit across the country. And actually, now Biden's climate plan is a lot more left than what it used to be because Warren is a major policy person, and like now instead of it being 2050 for zero emissions in the country, I believe that he brought it down to 2040.
Yeah, that platform committee I think was pretty influential in terms of shaping at least the party policy, the platform policy there. Speaking of Joe Biden, I guess you could say we should go on to his. I guess we could talk for a little bit about his Veep stakes. Yeah. What is your read on that? Who do you think he should pick, and who do you think he will pick? I've said for way too confidently, for way too long, I've said Kamala Harris should be. Will probably be picked. I'm not supportive of it.
I don't think there's
going to be
a lot of staffers are coming out against that.
Yeah, but I mean, who do you think it would be?
Well, I think Warren has a good shot because he hired her as a major policy person. That's like a perfect example of someone like if he did that with Barbara Lee, I'd say Barbara Lee would get it because that is his right-hand man, a policy advisor. That is one of the people who is at every meeting with you in regards to policy matters. And Warren really would be a very influential person on his ticket because not only does she have a track record, but she delivering for people. I mean, before her whole thing of, Bernie doesn't want a woman to be president, I actually did support her for the presidency because I did think that she was a pretty good candidate. After that, I changed over to Biden, and I went over to Klobuchar, and obviously for the general election, I support Biden. But Warren had a good track record with the consumer financial thing that she did, with her track record on the big banks, with Wall Street, and overall, she is not really too much of a unpopular person. Like, people know who she is, and I think that's really important for vice president. Well, yeah, Mike Pence wasn't known by everyone. Mike Pence was known by every Christian across the country because he was influential with a lot of the pastors around the country, and also he was a Christian himself, and he kind of preached that type of thing, which is one of the main reasons why Trump did rather well with the Christians in 2016. This year, I don't know about how well he'll do this year. But I think Warren will definitely be a good one. I think Barbara Lee definitely isn't a bad one. I don't like Kamala Harris. I don't like Karen Bass. And I don't like I was hearing about Val Demings. I don't think she's a bad one, but I just don't think she's too. I don't think many people know her well enough. I don't think her record is bad, though. I just don't think people know her. I think
if Joe Biden's trying to go in like a legitimate like social justice-y kind of like direction, her record as head of the Orlando Police Department isn't very good, though.
Her record as the Orlando Police Department really is well, yeah. I don't like Kamala because of her Attorney General record with over jailing people, but Val Demings' record as the Orlando Police Chief was just coming from the perspective of trying to not make a huge rift in her own police department. And I understand, a lot of people on the left don't agree with what she did, but she by far was not a bad police chief. I mean, crime went down so much in Orlando. Orlando used to be a crap hole in the state of Florida. I mean, arguably a lot of it still is, but Orlando's crime did drop a substantial amount after she was put in as police chief. She made a lot of strides to get closer with the African American community, which the previous white police chief refused to do. And that really, honestly, I would have to say really did help with the drop of crime in Orlando. I mean, focusing on one or two people's bad is not the best thing to do when it's coming along to things. Yeah, Karen Bass did things. It was a Cuban sympathizer. That's not the reason why I don't like her. I just don't feel like she's known by many people.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't. I think some of the stuff that she said that's come at the Oppo research that's been released on her, like especially her being like supporting like people from like the Communist Party and people or
And
whatever.
Scientology.
Like yeah, Scientology as well. Like some of that